Tonight, and over the next couple of episodes of my series, I'm going to share with you some encounters that people had between 1978 into 1979. A series of encounters that would go on to captivate an entire town, an entire area with fear. And this fear was brought on by an unknown creature. An unknown creature that would howl and wail and scream into the night. A creature who, during hours of darkness, in the shadows, would prowl and stalk around people's properties. A creature that would kill animals. And a creature that was bold enough to sometimes show itself during daytime hours. These incidents occurred in and around my hometown of Casar, North Carolina, which sits at the very base of the South Mountains mountain range, 100,000 acres of wilderness, here in the foothills of western North Carolina. Now, many believe that this all started during this time frame near a place called Carpenter's Knob, which sits at the eastern end of the South Mountains. And on this cold December morning of 1978, a lady, 88 years of age, by the name of Miss Minnie Cook, would have an encounter that she never forgot. She heard her dogs outside barking, and it was clear they was upset about something. So she went out to investigate. She saw a large, black, hair-covered creature, and at first she didn't know what to make of it, because it was appeared to be down on all fours, until it stood up, and it stared her down. From that day forward, Miss Cook wouldn't go outside unless she was armed with a rifle. And she went on record as saying that she wished she never saw it, and that she hoped she never saw it again, and that anyone else that saw this creature would feel the same as she did. But you see, Miss Cook was merely the first person to report such an encounter. I've interviewed many people over the past 4.5 to 5 years, and I am thoroughly convinced that these encounters were already occurring. People were seeing this creature and were certainly hearing this creature, which was the most commonly reported thing. These frightening howls in the dead of night, terrifying high-pitched screams and grunting noises, and these weird howls that would end in a crescendo of like yodeling, lonesome wails, bellowing yells like a bull bellowing. And as a witness of these type of sounds in the dead of night, I will assure you that it invokes a hair-raising fear, knowing that something is out there that's capable of making these sounds that are not attributable to any known wildlife. Matter of fact, the things that I've heard echoing off of these mountains and echoing in these creek bottoms and these hollers still echo in my mind to this day. Now, the reported sightings during this time frame, near as I can figure, were upwards of around 18 or 20. But many others, no doubt, had experiences, whether it was the vocalizations or finding footprints or actual sightings of the creature. But here's the thing. The fact that multiple people went on record and reported all of these encounters, it speaks volumes to me. You see, the folks around here are mountain foothills people. They are people that value privacy, that value self-reliance, and frankly, there's an enduring mistrust of authority, of high reluctance to reach out to the authorities, to the government for any reason whatsoever. So the fact that so many people did reach out and make reports and talk to the press tells me that they were worried and afraid, and that they were reaching out for help. So let's talk about some of these incidents. Start with Miss Sally White on January 16th of 1979. She heard her dogs barking ferociously, like Miss Minnie Cook. She was keenly aware that something was wrong. Now, that's a common thing. The dogs alert you first. And so if you live out near the deep wilderness, it behooves you to pay attention to your dogs and your animals. They may very well tip you off to something that's about to happen. But Miss White went out to investigate, and there she saw it. A large black creature walking on two legs. And she reported the incident. But come to find out, it was not her first time. She had had 2 previous sightings of this creature that she did not report. But finally, with the 3rd sighting, it compelled her to reach out and notify the authorities and to tell people about it. Now, also during this time period, a gentleman by the name of Mr. Forrest Price found one of his goats dead. And the goat died in a horrible fashion. It had a broken neck. Something that we've seen around here, mainly with deer. Finding deer in the middle of nowhere that had its neck snapped, ribs fractured, legs broken. But Mr. Price had noticed several nights prior, that something had been stalking his property and prowling around. And it was upsetting his animals. As a matter of fact, it upset his mule so bad that the mule broke the rope that it was tethered with and ran off in fright. But he also found footprints. And then there was his brother Sammy. And Mr. Sammy Price had a day when he heard these scary vocalizations, these sounds, these screams. And then along about dark, he saw it. He saw this hairy, upright creature. And at a distance, he was able to observe it for about 15 minutes. And the creature finally went out of sight. But all night long, he had to hear that creature screaming and howling. He said he nodded off to sleep at one point, but then there was a scream that was so loud and so close that before he knew it, he had come up out of the bed and was standing on the floor. The night finally ended, but the creature wasn't through. It wasn't through with him and his family. The next day, he was gone, and his wife began to hear these terrible sounds. And she went outside. And there off in the distance in a soybean field, she saw this creature, this hairy creature that many described as looking kind of ape-like, but also looking somewhat human-like. She saw it, and it was in the field, and it appeared to be foraging for food. January 15th, 1979, a lady by the name of Gay Smith and her 2 sisters was traveling on Highway 10 very close to where I live. And her sister Wanda started screaming all of a sudden. And it took several moments for her to explain what she was so upset about. She said, "I saw a monster." And the ladies remarkably turned the car around and went back to the site. There was a farm pond, and on the far end of the pond, on the dam, there was this hairy, humanoid-looking creature that was squatting and had something white, either a dead bird. They thought it might be a bag or something. They wasn't sure. But Gay Smith got out of the car, and she started walking toward the creature and got to within 150 feet of it. The creature got up and then walked down the other side of the dam and disappeared. We're going to pick this up on the next episode, and I will see you guys again next Sunday night. I appreciate all of you so very much, and thank you for your support.